Well, one of the common things that happens is that these limiting beliefs present themselves as common sense. Like, for example, oh, I can't pursue a coaching career because I have responsibilities. I have a family that I need to support. So you can say, well, yeah, that makes sense, of course. But if that belief is not propelling you forward to what it is that you're dreaming about and wanting to aspire to, then it's connected to a limiting belief.
You are listening to Amplify Your Success Podcast, episode 466. And today, I want you to discover a powerful formula to get yourself and your clients unstuck and back into action, moving mountains towards your goals. You ready for this? Let's get started. Welcome to the Amplify Your Success Podcast. Get ready to ramp up your revenue, amplify your impact, and make your mark in the world. This is the show for experts, thought leaders, and service professionals who want to shatter their limits and achieve that next level. You're going to find out from other experts and influencers how they made it. Now, let's get amplified. Hey there, inspired entrepreneurs and business leaders. It is your host, Melanie Benson, authority amplifier for expert-based entrepreneurs ready to make a huge, bold impact on the world. And today, I've got a guest making a huge, bold impact in the world. And we are actually welcoming this guest back to the show. She's been with me several times because she's one of my dearest friends. And we are bringing to you today this very powerful but often overlooked technique to get yourself so congruent, so aligned, and so fired up about your possibilities that you become unstoppable. You activate this momentum. And the really cool thing, I want you to listen to this episode today through the lens of what if I applied this not just in my own business and my own life, but with my clients too. So our guest teaches this model. She lives and breathes it, but she also teaches this model to her coaching academy clients. And I cannot wait to share this with you. There's so many very simple but very powerful shifts that can occur. All right, now before we drop into today's conversation, because our guest is making such huge ripples of impact in the world, it reminded me about my Ripple Makers quiz. And sometimes people come to me and they're like, Melanie, I don't know, are we ready to work together? They're interested in joining my mastermind. They're interested in exploring all the different pieces that they need to be able to make that great impact. And they're like, where do I start? And so I share this quiz with them. And this quiz is designed to help you quickly, but very powerfully uncover, are you dialed in and ready to make those big ripples of impact? Or do you have some things that you need to get shored up and fixed so that the world around you knows how powerful you are, how impactful your brilliance is, and can say yes to your offers? So if you head over to melaniebenson.com/quiz, you can spin through these questions pretty quickly and then get the clarity you need. And if working together is something that's on your table, great. Then it'll tell you which of the different things I do might be the best fit for our work together. Okay, now I don't want to wait another minute before I introduce you to today's guest. Welcome back, Amplifiers. I have such a treat today. I have invited one of my dear friends, somebody who I just love and adore and admire and look up to so much as a leader in our industry. You're going to meet my friend Natalie Ledwell today. Now, let me tell you just a little bit the official background on Natalie, and then we'll bring her into the conversation. So Natalie Ledwell, you may know her as the co-founder of Mind Movies. She's also a best-selling author and a speaker. And Mind Movies, if you're not familiar with that, is a transformational personal development company that has reached over 10 million people worldwide. She's also the visionary behind the Mind Movies Method Coaching Academy, where she trains everyday people to become certified coaches using her unique blend of neuroscience, visualization, and subconscious rewiring to help you truly make the impact you want to make on this planet and make some good money in the process. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for joining me. I'm actually super excited about today's conversation because we are going to go deeper into something that not many people are talking about. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure chatting with you, darling.
Yeah.
And now we get to share our conversations publicly, so that's kind of cool.
Exactly. I know. Not all of them, though. Not all of
No, not all of them.
them.
Just the juicy ones.
Just the juicy one. Yeah. Well, and so let's tell everybody a little bit about what we've been talking about. And, you and I have both been in this industry a really long time, coaching people, holding space for people to manifest big goals, take big, bold leaps, make an impact. And there's something that's really like I get people, other coaches coming to me saying, okay, my clients are stuck. They're not implementing. They're not getting the traction that they should be getting. And I know we've talked about this. I know I've personally experienced it in my business at times, and I have a lot of tools in my toolbox. So I'm like, why are they not able to get better results? And it might look like they're not completing their coaching assignments. They're not seeing results the way they thought. Maybe they're just throwing the brakes on and then they're in resistance and they're not open and receptive. What do you think is going on for people when they're in that kind of resistance?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that are going on. First of all, because for me, mind movies, that's what I've been, teaching visualization. But more than visualization, I'm teaching how to get really clear about what it is that you want. And I think for some people, they go, yeah, I want wealth and I want a successful business. But they haven't really put the time or the effort into number one, going, well, what does that mean to me? What does that really look like? Because you can set a goal of $10,000 a month or a successful business, but until you kind of dive a little deeper into, well, what does that look like? And what does life look like? And why do I want this? And how do I need to change the way I think? And how do I, who do I have to become to step into this role? Then I don't think that the target is clear enough, for people who are moving towards that. The other thing is that sometimes that people will have these specific goals because number one, they think that's what's expected of them, or that's what, all their friends are doing, and they're comparing themselves to others, but they haven't really thought about, well, what are my values? What I was doing a training on Friday with my coaches in the My Movies Coaching Academy, and I said, I'm the type of person that reverse engineers. I'm like, what do I want my life to be? What's important to me? And then what is it that's going to fit the description to be able to create the time and the money for me to be able to fulfill that, you know? So, and then I think the third thing that I think is a real challenge is these subconscious blocks, these limiting beliefs, these old programs, these behaviors that we've adopted and used as coping mechanisms to, that our subconscious mind will throw up that are going to keep us safe, to stop us from getting disappointed or feeling hurt or, not wanting to feel, things and trauma that we had when we were a child. And so when you can look at all three of those, you could work at one at a time, but sometimes you'll find that it's maybe just one of those pillars, and as soon as that clicks in, then everything else falls into place. But I think all the tools that we have as coaches, unless we can get to the root of what some of these subconscious, unconscious thoughts and behaviors are, then it's like we're taking two steps forward and one step back, you know.
I really get this. I mean, I've personally experienced this. I think we all have as human
Oh,
beings. And as a coach, for as long as I have been coaching, I've certainly had moments where I've thought I've gotten somebody unstuck, or we've kind of gotten them grounded in their vision or their goal. And yet, like, they kind of revert back and they kind of backslide. And so, first of all, I just want to acknowledge, like, if you are a coach or you have training where you mentor and guide other people, you have on-demand trainings where you people, like, why are people not completing this? First of all, just know it may or may not be what you're teaching, your approach, any of that. Sometimes there's other stuff going on. And so this is like a master skill set that Natalie is unpacking for us today that can absolutely support your clients on a whole nother level, set you apart from all the other coaches out there. Because imagine what might be happening, what could be possible if you had like a secret weapon tool that you could pull out of your toolbox that gets people into motion, that gets people to get better results, right? And I mean, Natalie, I know we'll get to this later, but I just want, as you listening in, this also works for you.
Mm.
Right? So everything we're about to cover today isn't just for your clients. It's something you need to actually anchor in as well. So I love that this is like a dual teaching today.
Yeah. Well, and that's the part of the Mind Movies Coaching Academy. We've actually put it into three different stages, but the first stage is the transformation, because I want the coaches to have their own transformation using the tools that they'll be using with their clients, so that they understand what is holding themselves back, like, and what are some of the things or common things that will come up, because subconscious mind, it's running the show 90% of the time. And it is sneaky, and it is very persistent, and it will do everything that it can to keep you safe. And I'm saying safe in inverted commas for people who are just listening to this right now, because it really doesn't want you to feel the emotions that stopped you from feeling like you are, or thinking that you're smart enough, or that you're pretty enough, or that you're capable, or that you'll be successful. We have like the common underlying limiting beliefs for everyone. I'm not worthy, I don't deserve, no one will love me. These seem to be the driver for under most of the limiting beliefs that we have. So when you can, pinpoint and get to the bottom of that, that's what's going to be able to help you to, like dominoes, release so many others in your life. So, we have a whole system, a whole process where,
Yeah.
number one, you go, okay, well, what is this thought? Because even though you'll have these core beliefs that are lying underneath everything, what's connected to that is a whole bunch of different behaviors, procrastination, a whole bunch of different thoughts. So you may only start at what the surface thoughts are, or the conscious thoughts that you're aware of. But then as you go through this system and you're figuring out, okay, well, when's the last time I felt that? What's the emotion that's attached to it? How's it shown up before? Like, when's the first time that this showed up? How is this affecting my decisions? And if you're going through a whole process of this where you could really sit with someone, a coach that can hold space and be able to guide you through these particular, sometimes very deep and profound questions, to get to the point where you go, oh my goodness, now I see it. Now I realize. And you start to see, like dominoes, all the choices and decisions and the things that happen throughout your life, why you chose the profession that you did, why you have the partner that you have, all of these different things that are influenced by what is sometimes not even truth. It's
Yeah.
just your perception that you took on when you were 5, when a certain subject or a certain event happened for you.
Yeah, it's almost like whatever that undercurrent is, that limiting belief, that conflict, that fear, it acts like a filtering system and a lens that you see the world, you see your possibilities through, and it colors everything with the color of that pain point. So you
Yeah.
don't really see the world as it is. You see the world through the lens of what your pain allows you to see, or that limiting belief allows you to see. And I know personally that doing the work we're going to talk about today is like it's like the only thing I've ever found that can completely rewire the way the neurons are firing in your brain to allow you to see possibilities that up to now haven't even existed in your sphere.
Mm.
So I'm really excited about talking about this today and sharing this formula. So let's start first with the process that you teach around manifestation. You call it the Manifestation Mastery Formula.
Yeah.
And I think just starting with this really powerful 3 steps it's an important place to start. So could you unpack that for us and share how that works?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I do is take people through a process to get clear about what it is that you want. Um, Now, the method that I use, and I've been using it for years, and then a year or so ago, I became a certified clinical hypnotherapist. And I realized that in the session that they were doing, and how they write affirmations, which is suggestions that you give your client when that you come up with together when they're, in trance, in hypnosis, are exactly what I was doing. I was just calling it something different. But what I realized and why it's been so effective is that it's speaking to the 6 different levels of the mind. So the first thing you want to do is figure out, okay, well, what is it that I want? And that needs to be something tangible. Earning $10,000 a month, having, a certain amount of clients per week, having, serving a certain, demographic. Okay. So you have your what. Then you want to think about what life looks like, because when you start to visualize, which is really important, because if you can't see yourself in your mind already living this life, then you'll never be able to create it. So what does life look like? Who are you serving? What does your day look like? With all this success and everything, then what are you doing with your life? Are you traveling? Are you eating at fancy places? All these kind of things. And these are the things that are going to elicit an elevated emotion for you, because what we talk about is how important emotion is, and we'll get to that in just a moment. So then you're going to think about why. Write affirmations for why you want this. What is your driving factor? Because when you hit a road bump, which you will, because there's no straight line to success, this is what reminds you why you're going the extra mile and why you're doing that. Obviously, your actions. What do you need to do? What do you do and need to do on a daily basis? All the bigger things you need to do to create this amazing business. How do you need to change the way you think? Because if our thoughts create our reality, and you're not quite happy with where reality is right now, how do you need to think differently? Now, part of this is also understanding and becoming aware of all of the negative thoughts that are holding you in place, all these, that are connected to our old programs, and going, okay, well, if I'm choosing to release those, then what am I choosing to replace them with? Because, making the choice to release them is one thing, but unless you have already decided what those new thoughts are going to be, it's going to be a challenge for you to be able to release those thoughts, because, nature abhors a vacuum. And then the last one is, well, who do I need to be? Like, what are the characteristics I need to start showing up as? What are the personality traits? Like, who do I know that I really look up to that works in this field? And what are the qualities of them that I want to emulate? And make sure that you write them down as well.
I want to go a little bit deeper on beliefs for a minute. So let's just say that, let's say you, as you're listening in, are going to do this process with us today, right? And you're getting clear about the vision. And as you do that vision, you're like, my beliefs are totally wired in, because many of us have done some of this already, and we've already thought we've plugged in the right beliefs. How would we know if the beliefs that we need to really elevate us into that next level vision are not plugged in properly yet, or wired in properly?
Yeah. Well, one of the common things that happens is that these limiting beliefs present themselves as common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, I can't pursue a coaching career because I have responsibilities. I have a family that I need to support. So you can say, well, yeah, that makes sense, of course. But if that belief is not propelling you forward to what it is that you're dreaming about and wanting to aspire to, then it's connected to a limiting belief, which could be, and like we said, if we get to the nitty gritty, it could be, oh, I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve this. So the beliefs that are going to propel you forward are the ones that you get you excited, that actually propel you in a forward motion. And the ones that present themselves as realistic and as sound as they sound, are definitely connected to lower limiting beliefs. And you'll feel the energy. The energy is much lower and more restricted around these kind of thoughts.
Yeah, so it's logic. It's literally like the thoughts that emerge. You'll literally talk yourself out of the vision and think of all the reasons, excuses, and logical
Yeah,
reasons why it can't or shouldn't work. And you literally backpedal yourself out of the what's possible. So
yeah,
I wanted you to unpack that a little bit because I think this is where a lot of people don't understand how their thoughts are creating their possibility path and their reality is because they think it's logical versus logic is actually eroding your belief in what's possible.
right. Exactly.
Yeah,
And it's
very, very
keeping you
powerful.
treading water where you are right now. And, and not feeling happy.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go so much deeper into that, but I know we have some other things we want to cover, so we may circle back on that.
Mm.
Um, I want to go a little bit deeper into, goal setting, affirmations, the techniques we're talking about today. And, I think most people have at some point heard, okay, manifestation is about setting a goal and then visualizing yourself in it. But if that was true, everybody on this planet would be achieving their goals. What do you think is actually missing that keeps people stuck besides, not really recognizing the limiting belief?
Yeah. I think there's two things. Number one, I mean, you want to be clear. If you have that list of affirmations, you're super clear. Actually, three things.
Okay.
Two,
There's always more.
yeah, there's always one. There's always another level. So that number two is the way that you're visualizing. I actually traveled and worked with Dr. Joe Dispenza for like 9 years, and he was using mind movies in his events, at his advanced events. And the way that he would teach us, the most effective way to be able to visualize, is that you choose one slide or one affirmation, one scene or scenario from the future that you're going to be living. Now, rather than see yourself as a character in a movie playing out in front of your eyes, you actually want to immerse yourself in that moment as if it's happening now. So, what are you seeing? What do you hear? What are you tasting? What are you touching? If you're looking at creating this or having this amazing, successful coaching business, then I would encourage you to imagine yourself, sitting in front of your computer. That you may have a cup of coffee there, so you can smell the coffee and you can taste that beautiful coffee taste. You're talking to a client on the screen. You've got your keyboard. You can feel the seat underneath you. And your client is expressing to you how grateful they are, how much what they've learned by working with you has absolutely changed their life. So they're so open and grateful. So being in that scene, see how I'm eliciting all the senses into that scenario. Now, the third thing, which is probably the key to most of it, and is even more important than what you see in your mind, is what are the emotions that you're feeling? Because when you take the manifestation down to the basics, we attract whatever is a vibrational match to the energy that we are emitting out into the universe. So what is that energy? How do we manipulate that energy? How do we change that? We do it through our thoughts and emotions. So in that scenario, you may be feeling pride. You may be feeling like happiness, gratitude. You could be feeling relief. You could be feeling, a whole bunch of different things. So you want to think about what is the emotion that I'm feeling. Because if you're tapping into something like courage or pride, then in any other scenario out in the real world, in reality, if you're tapping into those emotions and being able to create those emotions, then you are a vibrational match to opportunities and meetings and emails and things coming your way that's going to help you to make that happen. And once you've created this scene in your mind, maybe the first couple of times you've got your eyes closed and you're creating that, but then you don't need to be sitting down with your eyes closed. You could be driving the car or vacuuming the house. And you can easily, I call it daydreaming with intention. You're going to just have a little vacation to your future that you're creating now. And it's not just through the senses in your mind. but it's also the emotions. More importantly than anything else, it is the emotions that you'll feel in that moment.
I'm glad that you're bringing emotion into it because this was the missing link for me for so many years. I mean, I spent 10 years learning about manifestation and getting, our energetic alignment and, focusing on what we want. And yet it's still like it wasn't clicking, it wasn't working. And I thought, well, affirmations just don't work.
Yeah.
Like, something's not like tuning in for me here. And it was the emotional component, really understanding the power of the energetic frequency we're emitting in that emotion that changed everything.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, like, do you have an example where you've noticed this in your own life or maybe with a client that could really kind of bring that point home at all?
Yeah. So let me describe it this way. Your mind movie or your vision board or your affirmations, that's the frame of the house. But the way that you furnish the house and you put all the fittings and everything in is through your emotions and through your thoughts. That's how you pull it out. So the one that really blows my mind is actually was at a Dr. Joe event in Australia. And this woman had, her and her husband were struggling financially when they were trying to sell their house to clear some of their debt. And the house had been on the market for a month. There's no takers, no offers whatsoever. So while she's at the Dr. Joe event, when she goes into the void and she's creating this vision, she is in her own living room and she can feel the pen in her hand and she's signing the contract and she can smell the real estate agent's aftershave and she can feel the bubbles of the champagne on her nose as she's celebrating with her husband. And she's just feeling relief, like immense relief. And so that night when she went back to her hotel room, there was a text message from her husband, and he's like, "Honey, we got an offer on the house. It's not what we want, but I think we should take it." And she's like, "No, no, no, just wait. We got another day." So, of course, next day she creates the same scenario, except this time she sees the amount on the contract. And 2 days later, they got an offer for the house that they wanted. So, I mean, I have so many people who have gone, every time I put something in a mind movie, it just happens. Like it just comes to fruition, like everything. So, so be careful what you wish for because
Be careful what you feel
because
deeply.
it will really come true. Just saying, everything I put in a mind movie has come to fruition,
That's
including
powerful.
meeting my partner during the pandemic when, everything was closed down in the most unlikely time. So,
I remember watching that unfold going, wow, that is a powerful way to visualize.
yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about visualization because I think we've touched on this a little bit, but let's connect the dots between that visualization that you teach in my movies and you teach in the academy and all that, and then like really shifting those beliefs and anchoring them in a way that becomes your automatic belief system, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so we take you through a process to, like I said, was mentioning earlier, what is this belief? What are these thoughts? How does it make you feel? When's the last time that happened? So you start to see how they're showing up and how they've affected your decisions. The next part of that is your reframe. Because being aware of these thoughts and behaviors is one thing, but unless you can have a level of compassion and understanding as to how it happened in the first place, most of these things come from when we were kids. Our parents were doing the best they could. But when you're a 5-year-old, you don't take that into consideration. So you've been telling this story of how, you were affected by this particular event, but you're telling it still from the hurt and the perception of a 5-year-old. So now, as an adult, with this level of personal development that you've done and the awareness that you have, how do you tell the story different? Now, I'm not saying that you lie, and I'm not saying that the other version isn't true. It's just a version of the truth. So what is the version of the truth from this point in your life that sets you up as not the victim, but as how this particular event has positively influenced your life and your decisions and your character and who you are. I had a stepmother who, her and I had a very tumultuous relationship. And I would often talk about, how, she used to beat me and all these kind of things and blah, 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 and how, how horrible my childhood was. And I remember one of my coaches said to me, she goes, you need to start telling that story differently because, let's face it. And I looked like I was one of 8 kids. Dad was working 4 jobs. Mum was stuck at home trying to keep us all, out of jail and whatever else. And I can't even imagine having one child, and they had 8. So, so I was able to go, well, even though that was my experience, I mean, I left school. I left school when I was 15. I left home when I was 17. I left my hometown when I was 18. And so that experience really gave me tenacity and ambition and independence and confidence. And it shaped that experience shaped who I am today. So that's the story that I tell. Man, childhood was tough, but thank God for that because look at where I am now. So how do you reframe that? Now, from that reframe and that understanding of, well, if I'm acting from my programs, my parents were acting from their programs. So what was their childhood like? What influenced them to have that kind of thought and behavior about themselves? So from that point, from the reframe, you go, okay, well, now that I understand that and I can acknowledge that, what am I choosing to think instead? So when you're doing your visualizations, what you're also doing and including in there is how you're acting differently and how these different actions and thoughts are creating different outcomes in your life because you're seeing things and acting from a completely different place. Now, it's not to say that you will never not think those negative thoughts again, because those negative thoughts, some of us have been thinking for 50 years and are traveling along very strong neural pathways in our brain. Now, by being able to repetitively and frequently and consistently do these visualizations and seeing yourself acting and doing things differently, you're creating new neural pathways with thoughts that are in alignment with these new thoughts and these new goals and things that you're setting for yourself. So our good friend Lisa Thomas, she taught me a little trick that I love, that I teach a lot, and it's like, when you catch yourself, because you'll become aware now. Once those negative thoughts come up, you're like, oh, damn it, I didn't want to think that. So rather than do that and beat yourself up, you want to take a breath and just go cancel, cancel, cancel. Only love exists here. Now we do that because it's a pattern interrupt. So we catch ourselves, take a breath. It gives us enough time to remember what our new thought process is going to be or what our new thoughts that we're adopting. And it helps us to be kind to ourselves rather than spiral into something like, damn it, I wish I had done different.
Which, of course, is the negative energy that, is just taking you back into the limiting, conflicted feelings that you were operating out of.
Yeah, and low frequency emotions. I mean, you can't manifest from low frequency emotions. You're lucky to, think yourself out of your current situation. You certainly are not in a place where you can dream big or dare to believe that something amazing will happen for you. Because if we're stuck in helplessness and frustration and impatience, we just create more of the same when we're stuck there.
Yeah. One of my first spiritual teachers, his writing was about you can't manifest something powerful and beyond where you're at now and focus on a negative belief or thought. Like you can't have them both coexist in your energetic field at the same time. And that was always such a shifter for me. It's like, okay, like I can hold on to the negative energy or I can access that where I'm going next, but they're not going to coexist very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's not like we're saying, all right, from now on, you have to be happy and joyous and grateful every moment of the day, because that's not possible. But in the moments of quietness, or in the moments where you're feeling like you are stressed and going into those lower frequency emotions, it's not like you go from frustration to joy. There's a few steps on the way to that, but at least you can go from frustration to gratitude, and go, man, this sucks. This moment in history sucks right now. But I have my health and I've got my friends and, I get to live in a lovely place and I have everything I need to be able to create something better for myself. And it's just being able to shift your energy because that higher frequency is not just where you're attracting what you need, but attracting things that you didn't even know you need.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can say from my own experience, all it takes is grasping one positive possibility, one thing to be grateful for, one thing that's present in that moment, and holding on to that, it starts to pull you towards what you want more of. And
Mm.
we've been talking about this from the space of you, the listener, the person who might be the coach who has some stuff to shift inside of themselves to start their own transformation or up level into that next powerful place of manifesting what they want. Let's come back to a minute with how they might be able to incorporate this into the way they're coaching other people. What's possible there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think definitely using tools like mind movies. They're super fun. And I think the power of a mind movie is really around not just getting clear and writing out those affirmations, but then, when you're also adding the images that really sort to bring it to life, but then that music is the secret sauce because that's what helps you to elicit the right emotion. Like my love mind movie, I have a love song. For my work mind movie, I have something more uplifting. So an easy tool like that is fantastic. The other thing is figuring out what is that lower base limiting belief that's the full on success block or the thing that's really holding you back. Like I said, it normally comes down to one of three. I'm lovable, I don't deserve, or I'm not worthy. So we've actually created an awesome little 30-minute quiz. It takes you no more than 30 seconds. Sorry, 30-second quiz. Not 30
That's a little
minutes
more
because they're going to be a
enticing.
little late. But a 30-second, what we call a success blocker quiz. But it helps you to figure out not only what that particular blocker is for you, and your clients can do that as well. But it also gives you some specific things that you can do to be able to shift that to a place where you have this realization and awareness and go, oh, now I can make different choices for myself. Or because, I have one woman that I work with, and she was convinced that she was lazy and that she just didn't find the right medication and that she was depressed. And what we were able to uncover by taking her through this process was that she used to feel very awkward and ostracized when she was young. Her last name was Oswald, so she used to get teased about her dad killing the president. But she was tall and gangly and all that kind of thing, and so she would have problems leaving the house, and she'd leave all of her chores to the last minute. And then we realized that the last time she left the house and joined something, she was kind of like the odd man out. They didn't have an even amount of people in the class, and so she had to team up with the teacher. And so these feelings that she felt when she was a kid, because I'm like, well, when's the last time did you feel those feelings as a kid? She goes, that was my entire childhood. I go, well, this is just your subconscious mind throwing up this procrastination and this feeling that I don't want to leave the house because it doesn't want you to feel that. And she's like, "Oh my God." She goes, "Honestly?" And she's not taking any kind of medication or anything anymore. She when the feelings come up, she knows exactly what it is. She's able to step in and take action. And she honestly just thought it was her. But when you can uncover something just as easy as that, it is life changing for you
Yeah.
and for your clients.
Yeah, and I mean, I know from being so fortunate to have these tools to work with my clients over the years, and many of them I've learned from you through this, through your processes as well. Is like when you get unstuck, you become a very powerful light that people want to be in relationship with. It's almost like your word of mouth grows, your retention increases, your income stabilizes, and you become this force to be reckoned with. And that's a very appealing energy to
Yeah,
attract clients from. So what I'm heard you say throughout this process today or this conversation is start with you.
yeah,
Where do you need to clear out your own blocks, your own limiting beliefs, your own fears that maybe unconsciously playing against you, stepping into your greatest vision. And then you can hold space for your clients. You can learn this process. You can get mind movie tools to be able to incorporate or, maybe even, go deeper with the work you guys do there. But it starts by getting you clear. And so you guys have this success blocker quiz. We're going to link this up in the show notes. It's free to take, and it is 30 seconds, not 30 minutes, because I've done it. And you want to start there. I highly recommend that you clear your decks first. Become the best version of yourself. Get unblocked. Get fully, aligned with the vision of what's possible for yourself. I'll just share the link for you, Nat, because I know you made it nice and easy to remember for the show here, mindmovies.com/amplify.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to make a commitment to go there as soon as you're done listening today. As a matter of fact, if you need to pause this and go do the Success Blockers quiz, fine. We'll forgive you because that's really the most important next step that you take. You want to say anything else about the quiz before we do some wrap-up questions?
No, I think that once you do the quiz and you start to understand and unravel what this is for you, the other benefit as a coach is that you identify quicker with your clients. You get to see, you go, oh, I can see what's happening here. And then, even getting them to very quickly do that quiz as well will help you to know the direction in which to take your coaching, how to help them most, how to get them unstuck. But I do, like Melanie said, I encourage that you do it first because I know it sounds simple. And most of the things that stop us are. But once you get this one thing and have this one awareness and take that action on that, then your whole world opens up.
Yeah, and I can say very confidently that every level of success you achieve as a coach, as an expert, as whatever you do in business, every level of leadership you attain, you're going to unlock new little pockets where you have a limiting belief, where you have that ceiling of what you believe is possible. And so tools like this can help you ascend faster, which makes you a better, stronger, more powerful coach or mentor for your clients.
Absolutely.
Well, I always like to end my amazing conversations, and this has been so insightful today. I can't wait to hear as you're listening in, amplifiers, what was the big aha so far. But one thing I know about you, Natalie, is you're very impact driven. What would you say if somebody said, Natalie, what is the ripple you're here to make in the world? How would you answer that?
Ooh. I would say that it's helping people to realize what their full potential is. We all have the ability to be able to create a life that is beyond our wildest dreams. It's everything that we want. And the only thing that gets in the way is us. So by helping people to understand what that is, what that block is, to be able to, take the blinders off so that you can create this amazing life, I would say that is definitely my gift and my honor in this life.
And you step into that so well.
Mm.
Last question. What would you say is, and I want you to go back to when you guys started Mind Movies. What was the boldest decision or action that you had to take that scared you to death, but then once you did it, you were like, why did I wait so long? I know you
Well,
probably
back in the
have a dozen.
beginning, it was coming to the US, and you have this, and this is what my deeper limiting belief is that because I come from a big family, from a country town, from Australia, from whatever, I'm not as good as everybody else. I don't have the capabilities as everybody else. So back in 2008, it was making the commitment to come to the US and to join that mastermind and to do all of that. But most recently, it's been to start or launch the My Movies Coaching Academy. I know Glenn said to me, oh, we could have done this years ago, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, we could have. I said, but I couldn't have created the program that I have if I hadn't gone through the hardships and the everything and the realization and the uncovering of my own limiting beliefs. I wouldn't have been able to teach it like I do. So we could have done it years before, but I believe that now what we've created is probably, I feel very confident. I feel very proud. And the transformations that we're seeing, not just with our coaches, but with the people that they're coaching, it fills my heart, and it helps me now to leverage my own actions so that coaches are also helping people realize and helping them get out of their own way so they can create the life that they want.
So powerful.
Yeah.
Well, as I said when we started this, you are somebody I admire greatly. You are such a force on this planet, and I'm so thrilled to be able to share on a deeper level, like this manifestation technique, because there are some nuances to this that when you really get them, my friends, as you're listening in, manifestation is not affirmations.
No.
It is the emotion and the energetic frequency you access. And we all have stuff that's clogging up that frequency. So now is the perfect time to do the work. If you suspect there's a little bit of a block going on, I highly recommend that Success Blocker quiz. Melanie Benson, or no, not Melanie Benson, what am I saying? Mindmovies.com/amplify. So used to doing it for my own episodes. And I'd love to hear, like, what do you learn? What are you going to put into action from today's really powerful session? Natalie, thank you.
Thank you, Dali.
Thanks for tuning in today, Amplifier. We're going to keep this conversation going, and I want to hear from you how you're going to amplify your authority and make a greater impact. Before you go, please take a minute to give our show and our guests some love over on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. Leave your full name, and I'll spotlight you and your authority on social media.